Hello and welcome to the CleanSlate theme development tutorial series. My name is Adam, and today we are going to talk about how to pull content from one page on your site to another page on your site. To illustrate this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually show you the profile individual and profile index templates within brand patterns. If you remember from a previous video, brand patterns is one of the themes we previously offered people to use when building websites. If you visit patterns.wu.edu/patterns and scroll nearly to the bottom of the page, there are these profiles that you can see right here, example profiles. This kind of shows what we have bundled in with the brand patterns templates. So this is just an example with kind of some dummy content. Let's look at a real live example. So this is the Adventure, West Virginia site. If you click on staff, they have all of their profiles. This follows the same format as the brand patterns, profile individual, and profile index templates. So for example, each one of these has a photo, a name, their job title, a phone number, a email address, and a short description, and a link to their full bio. Alternatively, you could make something like this where people just have an image, their linked name, and their job title. Or you could even have something like the Statler College. If you click on faculty and staff and scroll down, they've actually divided their profile indexes into different categories. So for example, if I click on administration, and you'll notice that they're on this page, they're only listing the profile image, and then they have a linked heading right here for each person's name. So if I click on Joshua here, that all this content that we saw here is actually being pulled from this page. And similarly, you can see that on the Adventure West Virginia site too. So if I click on Coy's profile right here, you'll notice this is his name, this is his title, this is his short bio right here, phone number, email, etc., etc. You can kind of see that where it's being pulled in right here. So now that we've talked a little bit about what it looks like for the end user, let's look at how these pages are structured in the CleanSlate admin UI. So I have gone here to the Adventure West Virginia site, and I pulled up their staff page. You'll notice that their staff page is a profile index template. Maybe I can make this just a little bit bigger for you all. Their staff page is a profile index template, and then nested under their staff page is each person's profile individual page. So Nathan, Marion, Coy, all that stuff. All of these are profile individual templates. So in order for a profile index to work in the traditional sense, this is the general structure that you're going to need to follow. You're going to have a page that is the index, and then sub pages under that that have each person's profile individual or profile template. So let's take a moment to look at the code for the brand patterns theme. I actually have Hammer already running, and I'm looking at the profile individual template right here. The profile individual template has the same stuff that we were looking at on the Adventure West Virginia site. It's got the person's name, it's got their job title, a short description for their bio right here that's going to be pulled into their profile index page, phone number and email, and image right here. So if I go back to our views file here and click on profile index, you'll notice here that this follows that same format. You know, it's got a name, job title, phone number, email, short description, and an image. So let's look at the code and see how this is all done. So at its root, the profile individual template is not very different from any other page template in CleanSlate. You know, we aren't really doing too much here that's special. It is worthwhile to note that we're just essentially separating different things into different editable regions. For example, you know, we have an editable region for the person's profile photo, we have an editable region for the person's phone number, email, etc. That is all reflected right here. So profile photo, phone number, email, you know, they've got an editable region for their name and their job title, etc., etc. Where this really starts to be a little bit different is in the profile index template. Similarly, when we saw blog templates in one of our previous videos, profile index templates operate in a similar fashion. We are still essentially getting the children of a certain page. So for example, remember when we were looking at this page structure, we're going to start and have this be our profile index, and then we're going to loop through all the children of it. So we're going to get all the children of that staff page. That is what this our children each tag is doing. And if we scroll down here, you can notice that with this our page content tag, we are going to pull in the profile photo. Now, where do you see this again? If we go back to our profile individual and scroll down to the profile photo, you'll notice that this editable region right here is called W profile photo, okay? And when we look at the profile index, we are essentially telling CleanSlate to get the children of this parent page and find the W profile photo editable region and get that content. So on that page, get that content for the W profile photo. Similarly, we have our profile index here. This is the profile image. If we scroll down here, we have a number of tags for the name, job title, phone, email, short description, and a button. So that's going to be this whole column right here: name, job title, phone number, email, etc. And we're doing the same thing here. For example, if we want to look for the email, so this is the email. It's using this our page content tag. We go back to our profile individual template, and we notice that there is an editable region with the name W profile email. So on the index template, all we're doing is we're grabbing this page's profile email editable region and putting the content right here. Some of you may be wondering how to work with this content locally in Hammer. If we go back to our profile individual template here, you'll note that, remember that most of these are just editable regions, right? These are just editable regions. So if we were to open our mock data file and scroll up here, this is our editable region key, right? And we have a bunch of nested editable region names under here. Around line 190 is the profile, editable region names for this profile individual template. So if I wanted to change this to something specific, for example, I can save that in my mock data file, hit refresh, and Sally Sue is indeed reflected on our profile individual template. Now you might assume that if we go back to our profile index template, it would say Sally Sue right here, but it does not, because we are actually looping through child pages of this parent page here. So in order to get or change the content in that on that page, we need to go down to the pages key. The pages key is down here on line 243 of the brand patterns theme. And you'll notice that under the pages key, there's a number of key value pairs. One of them is content. So under content, we actually have all of the profile region names. So for example, we have the name, job title, phone, email. If I go in here and change the name to Sally Sue and hit enter and hit refresh, you'll notice that Sally Sue is now appearing there. Right now with Faker, we are dynamically generating this content, but if you want to go in using Hammer and change this content, add more people to your index, whatever, you can do that here. So now I want to take a few minutes to talk about what if your directory is a little bit more complicated than just a single level deep. For example, a number of colleges and departments have different departments or different faculty. Maybe they have staff. For example, on the Geo site, the Department of Geology and Geography, they have this faculty and staff page, and they have actually separated their profile index into faculty, emeritus faculty, and staff. So what that looks like on the back end is they have actually structured their pages where they have a profile index departmental, and then each of these is a profile index template. And then under, for example, the faculty template, they have people with profile individual templates. What that looks like is they actually have, and this is obviously abridged, but they have an our children each tag for this top level. So when you are looking at this page, that's where they start their loop, and they output the page name underneath the direct child. So for example, they're outputting faculty, emeritus faculty and staff via this, right? And then they're saying, since it's multiple levels deep, for example, faculty has people under it, you're gonna again loop for the children of that faculty page and output the person's name and a link. Or so for example, we're going to output the person's name and a link. They actually do more than that, where they output the person's image and a number of other data points here too. So if you are looking to structure your profile index and have it be a little bit more complex, that is certainly one way to do it. Now, another way to do it would be to use something like labels. If I go back to our Department of Geology and Geography site, they have this chair and leadership page, which has a select few faculty and staff that they have pulled onto this page. So how are they doing that? They're actually doing that with labels. So they have given these three people, Tim Carr, Karen, and Jamie, this label of chair and leadership. And then they're saying, look, so via the get page ID tag, they are getting the ID of this page, right? And then they are outputting it. They're getting the descendants of that page with the labels chair and leadership, and then outputting. So they're outputting the profile photo, they're outputting URL, name, job title, icon, all the stuff that we've seen before. If you need to only pull certain people in a certain department, or maybe like the department chairs or something like that, you can do that via a loop, get page ID if it's on a different page, and using labels. So that pretty much covers profile index and profile individual templates. If you would like to look at the documentation for pulling content from one page to another, you can look on the CleanSlate CMS site. There is documentation under how-tos and tips, theme development, and then if you click on pulling content from one page to the other, this article explains how to pull content from one page on your site to another page on your site. So that about wraps up this video. In the next video, we're going to take a quick introduction to Node, NPM, NVM, and Gulp. Stay tuned.